In this tutorial, I'm going to be covering how to produce a walk cycle and actually add it to uh, an After Effects side scroller. And so, anyway, there's lots of references online if you're looking for something to help you draw. And these are just a few I have. If you're looking for something more realistic, you can do something like this, which I actually used for this animation. And I'll just play this part right here. And if you're looking for something that's more along the lines of something more animated looking, like more of a cartoon, you can find references like this. And if you're looking for, if you need to know how to make an animal run or walk, there's different ones you can find online also. One thing I've been using recently is animated GIFs because I find that they're very helpful. And when you open them up in Photoshop or Procreate, you get all these different layers. So let's go into, I've got a folder of some animated GIFs here. Like this one, for instance, helped me to produce a wolf walking, okay? And if we take it into Photoshop and open it up, you can see all the different layers. And these are very helpful, okay? I used this one. Let's go. We don't need to save that one. This GIF right here, I used that one to produce this walk cycle in Procreate, which I'm going to be adding to my side scroller project I've been working on. Okay, but anyway, let me show you what a good way to work here, and I'm going to be using Photoshop. I've just been using Photoshop today, and there was just a slight bit of a learning curve for me, so I'm going to be covering that as far as what you'll need to know. So what I'm going to be doing is I have this GIF I had opened up, and I just expanded the workspace area. And if you want to know how to do that, it's very simple. Let me just show you quickly here. We could take any of these, like let's say we open up this one here, and if we're going to expand the workspace so we can actually create something, we can do this. Okay, and then so I'm just using the crop tool to enlarge that area. So now we can work on and make a new layer and start working. Okay, mind you, the one thing I usually do is I like to work off a white background, but I don't have white in there. What I'm doing is if we go to our Photoshop settings and look at transparency and gamut, I have the grid size set to none because otherwise it looks like this. And for me personally, seeing the tiles just it's distracting, so I usually turn this to none when I work. Okay, so what I have here, I'm not going to save that. Is I have this GIF that I'd loaded up and opened up in Photoshop, and I've actually made this character here, and I titled the group 1. But what we have is we've got all these different layers with different parts, and we're going to take a peek at those. So I've got this hood that overlaps. I've got the front arm, which we can't see right now because it's being hidden by the hood. So, okay. I got a front leg. I got a torso. I've got a head. Okay. A back arm. And these are all split up, so they have forearms and upper arms and forearms. We have back leg, so we have the thigh and then the calf region for each of those. And then the last thing I have is the cloak in the background, like that. Okay, so once I drew all this out, I am going to just in order for me to make another one, it's very simple. I'm going to tuck this layer of the reference down of that layer reference down here, and then open up that one, turn that layer on, and then we're just going to duplicate this layer right here and title it 2. Okay, and it's very simple. We're just going to go in and rotate a few things here. Looks like let's just compare this for a second here. I'll go scroll up here. I'm just going to compare this picture to this picture. Okay, and I take off the hood so we can see what's going on here. And so in this picture, his hand is coming forward a little bit more, which is important to know, even though it's being hid by that part of the cloak there. And this arm comes out more. This leg gets bent. I just wanted to see what I needed to work on here, so we'll just turn that layer back off down here. And let's take off the hood for a second and take the forearm, the front arm, and rotate it. So let me use my selection tool. We're going to move this anchor point here so we can actually rotate the whole thing just a little bit here, okay? We don't need to move it much. The front leg, let's see which one is that. This one. So let's rotate it a little bit. Just like that, okay? It looks like I've got my other layer on underneath, or my other group, so I'll just turn that group off. And we're going to take the calf and boot area here, the lower leg, and we'll just rotate it ever so slightly. And we might need to move him down just a little bit because the leg's getting bent and everything. And we could just move the whole thing down just a little bit like this, okay? So when people walk, they kind of bob up and down a little bit because of how they're, what happens with their torso and their legs. So we just made that adjustment. Now let's go to the back leg here. And the back leg, we're going to move out a little bit more here, like this, okay? And I think we could probably keep it pretty much like that. I think that's fine. Now let's go to the back arm, and we'll move this up, and we'll just rotate that up a little bit more like that. And then let's go and look at the cloak. The cloak, I think, is fine. The hood, we're going to have to change. So I'm going to go up here to this layer, and then I'm going to paint with black, and I'm using a hard round brush, and it's set to 100% flow and opacity. And we're just making this area right here. If we want to isolate that, I'm holding down the Alt or the Option key and clicking on the eye so that now we only see this part of this cloak or hood area here. I just titled one cloak for the underneath part and one hood because just to keep them separated. And there we go. Okay, so now that's that. And so right now what we've got is we have two layers, two groups, and so we just do this. Now I'm going to do one more here, and we'll do this again. Actually, this time what I'm going to be doing is, instead of just duplicating, I like to, well, first of all, I like to bring my reference layers below here, just so I know which one I've used and which ones I'm using currently, okay? So, and we'll just turn this off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Timeline, okay? You go to Window and Timeline. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating an animation here in Photoshop to work from, and we can actually see how it works, okay? And so with this timeline, what I've got is this is the first layer that's showing, and we'll turn this off, okay? If we add a new layer, we can do it over here. Let me bring this over here, and we'll go new frame, that is. Because now we're in a timeline, these layers and these groups are called frames. So I do that, and what I'm going to do is it produces another layer here called a frame that if you wanted to draw on it, you can. We don't need this. We really don't. So I'm going to delete that. Okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply turn on this layer and turn off that layer. So now, when I play this, it does that. Okay, it's looping, by the way. So now, if I make another layer here, or another frame, we'll go New Frame. Okay. And we'll delete the layer we don't need there, frame 3. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually duplicate layer 2 by dragging it down here and duplicate it, and we'll call it layer 3 now. Okay? And then we're going to turn off layer 2. Now, sometimes when I do this, things go awry here. So now on the second the second frame, I'm just going to turn off layer 3. Let's go to layer 1. Okay, layer 1. See, something happens sometimes. And I'm just trying to get it so that when we get to this one right here, this will be turned on. So now we can turn on our reference. And now I got to actually, get in here and start moving him. We'll move his arm just a little further up. And even though it's not seen, I like to move it up because eventually we will see it. And we'll just move it up just a little bit like that. Let's look at the front leg. The front leg kind of comes in just a little bit more like this. We'll actually move the leg just a little bit, okay? And then let's go to the lower part of that leg right there. And we'll rotate that just a little bit and move it. And we might need to do some work on this, okay? One thing I see that's going to happen is we're going to have to redraw that foot. So let's get down in there. We'll hit enter, or we'll commit to that change, and then we'll come down here and with my eraser and just erase this out and get my brush and just draw this part here. Draw that there. I'm not going to be too picky with this because this is a tutorial and I want you to just kind of understand the process there, okay? So you see I now changed this foot a little bit. And again, I say I'm not getting picky, but there I am getting picky right there. Okay, so let me continue on here. We'll zoom out just a little bit here. And let's see. So we got this leg working better. Sometimes you need to go in and you need to erase things out, make some things better. Make sure that when I'm painting on here, I'm going to sample this and just work on this leg just a little bit more here. Okay, now let's go to the other leg here, the back leg. So scroll down here, we'll get the back leg. In the back leg, we will go use our selection tool and move our anchor point up here and rotate the leg in like this. And then we're going to go and look for the bottom part of that leg and then rotate it this way like this. Okay, we can actually just move that down a little bit. Okay, I'm going to move this closer over here because what's happening is this part right here should be moved a little more like that. Okay, and let's see here. Where's that arm at? The arm, it looks like if we're looking here, I'm going to turn this on so we can compare here. All right, so it looks like in this one, his arm comes down a little bit, okay? So that's what we will do. We'll actually take this arm right here, move the anchor point there, move it down a little bit. Then let's go to the cloak, and we may want to just do a little painting on it, or maybe change it just slightly here, and then go to the hood. And if we need to, we can always lower the opacity and see what's happening here. So you can see, like, do we need to do anything? And yes. So with this, we'll just change this a little bit here. And then we'll raise the opacity and okay. So now let's turn off our picture here, and we can play that and say now this is what's happened. So I can keep doing this, okay? And I've already done a lot of this already, but this gives you a general idea of how to work. And personally, for me, I like to use shapes and silhouettes because I see proportion much better that way. And that's one of the things you've got to work with. And I would suggest that you use silhouettes also, even if you use line drawing on top, because therefore with the silhouettes, you will keep the proportions of your arms, your legs, your torso, all that stuff. And it's much easier to kind of manage. So anyway, let me continue on here. So this is the one that I have gotten to where I have at least 9 versions of this, and we'll just turn this off here, that reference part, and we'll play it. Okay, it still needs some work, but as you can see, I've done quite a bit there. And I work in a similar manner in Procreate, and Procreate has an advantage because in order to animate something, you don't have to go through this whole thing with a timeline. It makes it much easier. But the problem with Procreate is rotating shapes, because when you rotate something, then you have to sharpen it up. You have to go back in and repaint and also erase out, because it becomes blurry. So anyway, what I'm going to do is, in order to get this into my side scrolling animation, is I'm going to change this into a GIF. But before we do that, what I'm going to do is let's go over here and take a look at what we have, and I'm going to import something else, and we're going to. And before we do this part, okay? So now you know how to draw our walk cycle by doing this, okay? So let's go over here to After Effects. This is my side scroller I'm working with, and you may have seen it in class. And for those of you who are on the internet, I teach at Kennesaw State University, and I'm teaching motion graphics. And this is just a personal project of mine, something I've been wanting to do since it is the fall and October is right around the corner. Anyway, I'm going to be adding in a wolf, and then I'm going to be adding in the woman skipping. And I'm going to show you 2 different ways to bring those guys in, okay? So I just wanted to play this out so you can see here. I have a cloaked figure right now that pops up, and I'm going to I'm redoing him. I'm still not happy with what's happened in Photoshop, but it is better, okay? I'll probably go back and rework that sometime. So anyway, what I'm going to need to do is this. We're in Comp 1. I'm going to go into my artwork here and figure out where I want my wolf to go. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about here, I have a walk cycle for a wolf that I made in Procreate, okay? And it's really tiny because he needs to be small. So a lot of times it's good to resize things so they're not so large. This was a different walk cycle I used, but it looked like he was limping. And I based it off of an actual walk cycle that was it wasn't an animated GIF. This was based on an animated GIF, and it works much better, okay? So anyway, I've got all those layers, and you saw it, how it's all set up. Everything is set up. They're all stacked. So let's go back. We're going to bring that into After Effects. And the way we're going to do that is come over to our project panel and do Command-I or Control-I if you're working on a PC. And we're going to look for this, the new wolf walk cycle here. Okay, we're going to bring in, and we're going to do Composition, Retain Layer Size. And we're going to open it. Okay, yeah, we want the editable layers. And then we're going to bring this wolf down, and let's zoom out here. He's going to go somewhere. I'm looking at my corn stalks there. You see that one blinking there? He's going to go in front of that one, okay? So let's bring him down in here. And you see him right there. We're going to zoom in now. And we're going to reposition him right here. Okay. Now, in order to animate him in After Effects, I'm going to double click this. So what I did was I brought down this little, I didn't bring down the layers. I brought this the into the timeline. And this represents where all the layers are. If I double click this, we will see all the layers. Okay. Now, it's hard to see what's going on because anytime you bring in new groups of layers like this, you will have a black composition. So let's just change our composition settings so we can see that a little bit better. We'll change it to white. Okay. All right, now I'm hoping I did this last week, and I'm hoping I don't run into too many difficulties. One of the things is that in order to make the walk cycle happen, we're going to be doing a couple of different things here. I don't want to get too confusing here, but the first thing we're going to have to do is I'm going to shorten this composition, because right now my composition for the whole movie is a minute. And it goes on for some time there, as you can see here. So what we're going to need to do is, let's shrink this down here. And you know what? The easiest way to do this would be this. I'm going to go into my composition settings and set it up. So, this is set for 2 minutes. We're not going to do 2 minutes. We're going to do it at something like 25 seconds. Or not 25 seconds, but it's 0.25 seconds. So it should be 25 frames. Okay? And the reason why is because I have 8 layers here. And for each layer, we're just going to select all the layers right now. And I'm going to bring them all in to, and let's zoom in here so we can see the 3. Each one of these is going to be 3 frames long. Now you can make each one, 2 frames or 4 frames, because it just shows you the speed at which he's being animated. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to select all of these and bring them over like this, okay? And then we're going to take this and bring it over like this. So what I'm doing is each time I'm deselecting the layers, coming back up, selecting the next layer up, which is 4, holding down my shift key, clicking on the top one, which is 8, or layer 1, depending on which way you see that, and bringing those over, okay? And then I'm going to do the same thing again. I deselected. I'm selecting these layers. I'm pulling all these over like this, and then we have, just keep repeating it, okay? And then we're going to need to scroll over here to get the last one. Now, the reason why I made this 25 frames versus 24 is because we're going to extend this one right here, if I can get to it. Come on. I am having a devil of time. There it goes. Okay, good. All right, now, let's play this and just see what it looks like. Okay? So he has a nice walk cycle. And, if we play this in here, it's going to be very short. It's going to play and then he's going to disappear, okay? So, there you go, okay. But let's go back in there. So let's go into this. And what we're going to do is we're going to pre-compose all these layers. It's an odd thing to do, since they're already pre-composed. But this is going to help us here, because we're going to select all these layers like this within the timeline, and then we're going to go right-click, and we're going to do pre-compose. Okay, move all attributes into a new composition. Okay, great. Now that they're pre-composed, let's see here. I'm going to change my composition settings again. So I'm going back and forth here, but bear with me. If you're going to follow along with this tutorial, you just have to follow along. I'm going to change this back up to duration time is going to be 1 minute. I don't know why it was set for 2 there, because I think over here, let's check out comp 1. Comp 1 should be 1 minute also, unless I'm mistaken. Yeah, okay. And we'll go back to find this. Okay, so now this should be set. Okay, all right. Now let's zoom out here. Or shrink this down here. There we go. So what I'm doing is, of course, in case you need me to an explanation of what I'm doing here, is this shows the scale of our timeline, and when things are really large, we need to scroll this over so that we can actually see all of it. So what we're going to be doing simply is this. We're going to be looping this, and this is much like the astronaut that we did in the exercise for those of you who are in my class. So what we're going to do is we're going to right-click the layer, and we're going to go to time and enable time remapping. All right, so let's zoom in here. Again, I'm getting in here really close. And let's go to the next keyframe there. And I believe in my tutorial for the astronaut, what I did was we extended it one frame. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in. So I'm going to hold down my Alt key and click my left arrow. Oops. It's not doing it. Sorry, it's the Command key. So I'm holding down my Command key because I'm on a Mac, Control key if you're on PC, and I hold down and so we go over just one frame there, and we're going to click here, add a keyframe. We're going to come over here and delete this keyframe. Okay. Now, let's go and hold down the Option key. I have this actually written on my Cintiq. I have some Post-it notes to help me remember this each time. And we're going to hold down the Alt key or the Option key. Click on the stopwatch. All right, that brings this down. And then we're going to do this. We're going to come over and look for this expression button. And we're going to go to Property. And we're going to go to Loop Out. Okay, and then we're going to click off of that. So now let's zoom out here. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to extend this all the way out now. So now he's going to be walking for the entire duration of the movie, and we're going to go back into my artwork here and see he's walking that whole time. Very good. A little slow because it's having to draw it in, but what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go and look at my Comp 1 and find, because this is my movie here, and I know it might get confusing, so this is where all the layers for the artwork is. Okay, and in Comp 1, which is our main movie, this is the actual aspect ratio or composition size for our movie. And I'm going to bring this over here. And we want the wolf to start appearing somewhere around here. I know it's a little blurry there. Okay, so I'm dragging my timeline indicator over here to let me know. And then let's go back into all those layers here. Okay, and on this we're going to hit the P key for this layer. Make sure you're on the layer that you brought in there if you want. And then we're going to hit the P key, okay? So it installs a keyframe. Let's go back to Comp 1, and then we're just going to play it here. And the reason I'm playing this is to see where I need to have him stop. So where I'm going to install the next keyframe. So what I want to do is I want to have him go up to that tree, and then we won't see him anymore. He'll just sort of vanish, kind of mysteriously. All right. So it may happen somewhere sooner, like this, perhaps. And if that's the case, then we'll go back into all those layers where the artwork's at. We'll zoom in here so we can see a little bit. And so my timeline indicator I don't see because we've got to scrub this down a little bit. Okay, so there's my first keyframe. So right now what I got to do is I'm going to actually just start moving this over, and it will install another keyframe. I know it's a little fuzzy to see. We're going to move him so he's behind that tree. And so now let's go to comp 1 here, and we'll scroll back here. Okay, and then we'll play it, and it's going to be a little slow perhaps, but let's see what he looks like. And there he is walking, which is good. And he's just about to go behind the tree. And he disappears. Because he's not going to move anymore. And let's just see this go all the way around so we make sure he doesn't. And so that's one way to add in a walking figure, in this case is a wolf. I did this one a little differently, but next I'm going to show you how to bring in a GIF, okay? And some of my students, the last time I taught this class, they were drawing in Procreate, and they're telling other students, you can't save it as a GIF. But I looked online, and I thought to myself, surely there's a way to do this. So what we're going to do is I'm going to bring in that woman that I had drawn. And let's come out here. And this is my skipping woman GIF. Now, I have a movie here. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do here. We're going to make this into a movie. Or, actually, let's go... and I'm going to go back here and show you about how to make this into a GIF and bring that in, too. But so let's go over here for the moment. And what we're going to do is we're going to open this up in Photoshop. Okay, bring it into Photoshop. As you can see, she's all animated. What we can do is, we could actually crop in here, so we don't have all this space. It's not going to hurt anything as long as none of her body parts come outside this area here. We're fine. I just thought it would be helpful when we're making this next thing here. We'll commit to that. There we go. Oh, I knew that would happen. See that back leg there. So let's go and crop again, and let me play this and just go from frame to frame here. Yeah, okay. So we're going to crop about right there. So this was a GIF that I actually, exported out of Procreate and saved and put it onto my desktop. So let's just make sure. Is she all in there? I think she is. Good. Okay. So that was one thing I needed to do. The other thing I need to do is I need to go and look at image size here, because she's pretty... Well, first of all, we're going to change this out. So I want her to be at 300 pixels per inch so she matches the artwork. And I'm going to resample. Or I unchecked resample. So it's going to change the proportions. So let's change this to 300, okay? So the height here is 3 inches. I need this to be less than an inch. So let me click OK first. Then let's go back here and do image size one more time. And this time we'll hit resample, okay? And now I'm going to change this to 0.7, probably. It looks a little odd, I know. All right, there it goes. All right, so she's really small there. Now I'm going to go and export this out. So let's go to File, and we're going to look for Export, and we're going to Render Video. Now, this is important because if you bring in the GIF, the problem is she'll have a white background. And that's what everybody was talking about before. You can't bring a GIF into After Effects if you've got a background already. But what we're going to do is we're going to change this and export it as a QuickTime, all right? And then as far as what we're down here in render options, we want it straight and unmatted. So when it comes out, there's not going to be any background, okay? And then we're just going to render this, and I'm going to call this 2 because I already got one in my folder. And I'll make sure it's on this same place. Okay, good. So now it's rendering that out. And let's take, so now this is here, okay? Let's go back into After Effects. We're going to, shrink this down. I know it's hard to see. I apologize, but I've been working with it this way. We need this pretty large there so that she's probably going to come in the middle when I import her in. So let's import her in. And so we do Command I. We got to be in the project panel here. Oops. Maybe I did that. Maybe double clicking did that. I'm just do Command I anyway. All right, there we go. So here she is. We'll bring this in. It's going to be brought in as footage because that's what it is. It's a movie. Okay. So we'll open it up. Then the next thing we need to do is there's a little button down here. Make sure that she's still selected, the skipping woman there, and interpret footage. And what we're going to do is we're going to make it loop several times. I'm going to loop it at least 15 times here, okay? Because otherwise it's not looping. Even though it should loop. So now we need to figure out where we haven't brought her in here yet. We're going to bring her, I think it's behind here. Yeah. Okay. So I need to be down here on this layer, and then I'm going to drag this to here. And there she is. She's small. Okay? She's very small, but we'll bring her over here so we can see. And then we're going to zoom in. Whoops. Zooming out there. Let's zoom in, and then I'm going to use my space bar so I can have that grab her hand and move her. And she's going to be at the very beginning of the movie, okay? So let's bring my timeline indicator all the way over to the beginning. And she's going to be hiding behind these trees. Okay, like that. And then we're going to hit the P key. And we're going to click that. Now let's go to our main comp, and we're going to see where we need to have her at. Because I want her to disappear behind this big tree here. And we probably will have her disappear somewhere about maybe right here. Okay? So I'm going to stop the movie for a second, come back to my layers, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move her. So I'll install another keyframe. So we're going to scrub this right here, move her over. There we go. Good. And we'll try to move her up. I think, yeah, is that moving her up? We'll see here. All right. So let's see how she looks. I know it's a little choppy there, but let's play it this way. Okay, she looks like she's floating there because she's not on the ground. She's on the ground there. All right, so we're going to just need to bring her down a little bit. So let's bring her down. I see that foot there. Okay, let's go back here and see what that looks like. Is she still floating? Yeah, she's still floating up there. Okay, getting close. We'll come over here, and she needs to be brought down more. Now, if we want to, we can just get rid of some of these trees here. You got this first tree we can get rid of, and now I can see. And I'm going to bring her down this way. So she's on the ground. Come on. Getting closer. All right. Now let's see how she looks. Okay. That's not bad. And we're actually going to move her just a little bit further over behind that tree. Okay. Now, let's take a look here. We'll turn on that first tree layer again. Go back over to comp and go to the beginning here and just see what it looks like. It's not bad. Just going to have to render through there. Okay. Let me see here. Yeah, she kind of pops out more right there. So let me make sure. Let's go back to our art here. Let's go down to that layer. And we can move this over. Oops, I got two of them, obviously. Okay. We'll delete this one right here. And we're just going to, let's zoom in on my timeline so we can make sure we're on that keyframe. And we'll just scrub her over just a little bit more here. Now let's go to comp 1 and go to the beginning here and see how it looks. All these little adjustments. Good. All right, so that's doing what I want it to do. So let's have some fun here. Meaning, now that she's in place, I am going to do some things. And one of those things is I'm going to make her. Let me just zoom out so we can see where the timeline indicator is. We'll bring her over to here. All right, first thing I'm going to do is do the opacity. And I'm just going to do it this way. I'm going to come over here. I'm right-clicking on that layer, transform, and we can do opacity this way. And we'll bring her down to maybe, I don't know, 65 perhaps. Okay. Another thing I want to do is I want to change her a little bit. So we can zoom in on her now so we can see her a little bit better. There we go. All right, now let me right click and we're going to go to effects. And I'm going to, when I made her in Procreate, I just picked some colors. So I'm going to change her colors. We're going to go to color correction. There's all these different things we could use. And some things may work better than others. I prefer to use hue and saturation. But as I said, we could use other ones. And what I'm going to do is we're going to change the master hue here. So she's a little cooler, like that. Okay. I'm going to take down the saturation just a little bit. There. Okay, that looks cool. Now, the other thing I'm going to do to her is this. So that's one effect, and this is not keyframe, so this will keep during the whole time she's moving there. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is this. We're going to right-click again. We're going to go to Effect, and let me look for Effect here. There it is. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to stylize and glow, because I want to make her glow a little bit. Okay, and we've got original colors. That's fine. Maybe we don't have her glow as much. Just a little bit here. Okay. The radius, she could glow out more like that. And the intensity, I'm going to bring down just a little bit more here. So I can play around with this, and I can play around with this a lot more. I just want her to glow a little bit there. Um, there's all kinds of things you can play with. Okay, you can keyframe this. We'll keep the original colors. There's add. Say, if we want to, we could do screen. Maybe use screen. Okay, and then let's go to our comp one and see what she looks like, and we'll zoom in on this movie so it's not so far out. There we go. Okay, now let's play this. And it's going to have to catch up here. But now we got this ghostly woman hopping, and mind you, it's not in real time yet because it's having to render everything out. Anyway, let me let that render out, and I'm going to go back over to Photoshop. Because what I want to do is I want to cover how to make a GIF in Photoshop to do that. Because what I was doing before was great, but we need to get to this stage where we can bring it in as a QuickTime movie. Okay, so let's just go back over here, and so I've got my walk cycle for this, and like I said, I'm not totally happy with it, and it could be better, but we're gonna export him out. And what I found is probably best to do is we're going to go and export and save for web, which is unusual, I know. And so I've got my color table here set up. I'm doing 32 colors. I changed the no dither to noise. I think that helps tremendously. We're saving it as a GIF. And supposedly the looping is going to be forever, but that's for the movie. But then when we bring it into After Effects, we're going to have to interpret the footage again. So let's save this, and let's see where we're going to save this at. Does it tell me yet? Let's go to hit save. All right. So we're going to save this inside Sleepy Hollow. There it is. Okay, we're going to save it in there. Or we can actually save it on the desktop. It doesn't matter because we're not going to be putting this GIF. We're going to be putting in a QuickTime movie. So first you have to do this. Okay, we hit save. All right, so now it's a QuickTime movie, hopefully. And it looks like I may have him on. Did I do that? Did I leave any art on? Oh, it's a Photoshop file. That's a PSD. That's a skipping woman. I thought I saved it to here. Maybe I saved it somewhere else. Let's try it again. I thought I was smart there. Now, it may just not be showing up. Okay, let me see. That's the problem with having all these folders and everything. Sleepy Hollow Art. Sleepy Hollow Animation. I'm just checking here before I go and do it again. Because sometimes... Well, we got this cloak figure walk cycle here. Which is what I had. Maybe it saved out there. Because I didn't click in that folder. There's a good possibility. So this is the walk cycle. Okay? All right, so we're going to take that into Photoshop now, okay? So we save it as a GIF, then we bring that GIF into Photoshop like this, okay? And we can crop him if we want to now because now it's just got the layers. Oh, this is only 4. So I didn't do that. Let's see here. Yeah, that's weird. I'm going to do... Okay, I apologize for this. So let's make sure... We'll just export it out again. I apologize. So let's go to export, save for web. We've got all of our settings set up. Okay. Remember, we're going to set that to noise. We're going to do a save. All right. So we're in here. We've got cloaked walk cycle. Maybe that did come over. And it's just not showing up. Make sure that we are on the desktop, though, because I do have a flash drive in here. And that's probably what it saved to was my flash drive. Okay, so there it is. So we're going to save it there. Okay. I think this is going to work this time. So let me come over here. Sleepy Hollow. There he is. Great. Now, so there's the full walk cycle. Now, there's some problems with it, obviously. But I'm going to live with those problems for the moment, just because I want to show you how to do this. So we take that. We can crop him down. So we can crop the image in a little bit. He's not looking that bad here. Good. Now, let me go out to here. We're going to go and export it again. Okay? And we're going to do render video this time. So file, export, render video, QuickTime, and the most important thing is straight unmatted. Okay? And we're going to render that out, put it in my Sleepy Hollow folder. Hopefully it'll go in there. There we go. Okay, so there he is. There's the movie. So back into After Effects. And this thing has been playing this whole time. So now we can see this in real time. And she doesn't look bad. See, she looks really nice. You know, hopping and skipping and jumping. I use Puppet Warp to move the corn stalks. I use Puppet Warp on the Scarecrow. I need to move my clouds eventually. I reposition these so that there's a parallaxing effect of the corn stalks. My wolf is a little dark. We can change him much like we changed her, okay? And then you see my fog. So anyway, let's stop here because you know you've seen it all before. So let's come up here. We'll bring up our timeline so we can see it. We'll zoom out here. We got to go to Sleepy Hollow Art. We'll need to scroll this all the way out here. Then we need to get to my project panel here. And again, we'll do Command I. And we don't want to bring in the GIF. We want to bring in the movie. Okay? Footage, open, interpret, loop out. You know, it could be 5, could be 15 times, doesn't matter. We just need it more than once because it doesn't do that. And then we need to bring him in somewhere. And I'm just going to bring him, just to save time, we're going to bring him in the top here. Okay? And where is he at? I'm sorry, I'm going silent here because I'm looking for him. I was hoping he'd be in here. I plucked him around the top there. Yeah, something must have went wrong here. This is set for sound, perhaps. Yeah, there's something went wrong here. So let me go and export him out again. We'll just undo all that I just did there. There he is. Yeah, he's not coming in there. Yeah, I'm gonna take that out. Something's happened there. I don't know quite what happened because I see him up here, but it's a sound. So let's double check here. I apologize. Do it one more time here. I'll just play this. Okay. So we're going to do export again. Render video. QuickTime, yes. Okay. Straight unmatted, yes. I think everything is the way it should be. We might as well replace it. Okay. Now let's go back into here. And then we're going to do Command I. It's having to catch up here. Cancel because sometimes my computer there we go. All right, there we go. So we're going to bring that in as footage. Okay. I see it's set for sound again. And I'm just trying to find a place where I want to put him at. I might put him somewhere here. And I'm just having difficulty. I apologize. Something just isn't going quite. Oh, you know why? I apologize. Now I know why. Look at how long this is. Okay? Look at how long that is. And look at where my timeline indicator is. That is what went wrong. I apologize. So let's go in here. We'll interpret the footage. We'll do it 15 times, okay? You see that how it extends out there? This needs to extend out here. Okay? We need to bring our timeline indicator here, and there he is. Okay? And so now we can position him, move him wherever we want to. He's too big, really, but, you know, I just wanted to show you how to bring him in, and then we could do all kinds of things with him. But that's basically how we bring in a person or an animal or whatever you want to animate walking, okay? I hope this tutorial has been helpful, and it's the end.